All right, recap the performance Saturday. Wake players of the game on offense was Rick Jones. Had some big plays. Really did good in the blocking game. John Crawford played every snap defensively, which is quite honestly too much, but did a great job. I think he has 10 tackles, 2 pass breaks ups. He was 6 of 6 on one-on-one opportunities. Really didn't have anything in kicking. Our punter did a nice job. We outpunted them as far as stat numbers, and all our kicks were deep in the end zone. But we didn't have a specialist. We thought the impact of the game. Our scouts for young guys, again, T.J. Simmons is kind of helping out, as was recognized defensively with Johnny Albamonte, and Nick Ramica, who's a second-year offensive lineman, is doing a great job on the scout team. Guys we thought played well besides the players' game, Marcus Oliver and Rashard Fan also joined Crawford defensive performance. Up front, we thought Wes Martin, by far his best game to date. A lot of effort, a lot of energy, can be better, but thought he did really, really, really well. Had some big plays, but again, of course, we had a lot of negatives. We had, five interceptions, and you go through those 5 interceptions. Now, 2 are on receivers that hit their hands. One's a competitive play on 3rd and 4, and their DB makes a play, and our guy doesn't, and the ball bounces there. We got to be strong enough to make that play. A ball in the end zone goes off a receiver hand, where, again, you're basically playing volleyball and setting up. One play call, I think structurally, the protection didn't match the passing spot. Our quarterback got hit on delivery, so to me that's on play calling. And the last pick was a greedy play call on my part. Quarterback had 1 forced throw. Should have checked it down on a play that went to, quite honestly. So those picks go to the quarterback, and he's responsible. But turnovers are a team deal. We had none as a team defensively. And that's stopping the run and getting them on 3rd and long, and that's getting after the quarterback and attacking the ball, and then same thing offensively. Those turnovers are a team deal, coaches included. So we're -5 there, which is huge in the game. We have many critical penalties, and you're always going to have some penalties, but our second defensive play after we've scored, we get a turnover, but we're offsides in the defensive front. So that's a possible, probably score opportunity. You got in the first half where it's going to be 1st and goal and 2. We have a holding call, and then a blocked field goal comes after that. Blocked field goal is actually on the kicker and the holder because the clock was running down and the holder called for the ball before the kicker was set, and our get-off time needs to be under 1-2, and it was 1-4. Matter of fact, the guy blocking actually ran by it, so it wasn't like a blocking error or anything like that. It just, clock's running down. We're late. The play wasn't late coming in. As soon as it was 4th down, we said field goal, but we're laid out of the huddle. The guy's got strong enough leg. I didn't see it. I was taking the time out, so that's my fault. Could have took a delay, but it was just poor communication led to a field goal block. That also came after a hold. You've got an unsportsmanlike penalty on the quarterback, which is probably more critical than his picks, because you're at the 8-minute mark. You got to score twice, and after 2nd and 19, we've got it 3rd and 6. We'd have been on schedule if you take the penalty out. So we needed 2 scores at the 8-minute mark. We go down, we've got a 4th and 1, get a holding call in the line of scrimmage. Matter of fact, if we make the field goal, we're probably kicking a field goal there on 4th and 1, and it's a 9-point game going to 6 instead of a 12-point game. So just way too many, let alone the one defensive drive. One face mask was in the perimeter, and it's called on Marcelino, and I don't know if just can't see on tape, but so wide, we just got hands in the face. We did get the quarterback on face mask, and we did tug a jersey and get a hold. So I think they had a 65-yard drive with 50 yards of penalties. Same time, going into that game, we were 2nd in the nation turnover ratio on the plus side. So it ain't like all of a sudden we just had a bad. We've got a long history of taking care of the ball. So we'll hopefully be able to clean that up. It'll be a tough challenge with the defenses in the Big Ten. We're getting ready to see a great one this week. But we got to take care of the ball. We've got to run it better. Wake Forest had 50 rushes. We had 32. And we got to find a way to get the running game going. But when you're playing with a group that's got a bunch of guys up in there, and there's some one-on-one plays, you got to take them, and we did. And the team we're playing this week, they're historically one of the premier defenses in the country, and they do it by having guys that can play lock man-to-man. It's loaded box, and it's tough sledding in the run game. But we got to find some run game because, again, we got out-rushed. Yards per carry is the same, but just attempts. They had 50 rushes. We had 32, so we got a little bit more pass head. We did have some pass numbers, but we got to find some balance, and that'll be tough in a lot of these games we're playing. We got to find it. Defensively, we held them to, I want to say, 9 punts, 6 3 and outs, They scored 2 touchdowns against the defense. So that's 4 against the defense in 3 games. We had 611 yards offense, so we're sitting here 2-1, and we're frustrated. But we got a lot of talent, and it's talent that we got to get coached, take our performance seriously. Had a good week of practice last week. We're off to a good start with what's going to be a great challenge. But we got to get back on track, and we need to fight to win games, and it'll be a difficult challenge with Michigan State, who's a heck of a team. They're coming in, didn't play well last week by their standards, and that's probably several teams in our league are really, really strong, but that program across the board doesn't backseat anybody with strength of program, with the way they recruit, develop players, coach players, play in all phases, kicking game, kicking fakes, defense stopping the run, defense not giving up big plays, balance of offense, players. That's why they've won 10 games or more, like 4 of the last 5 years, or 11 4 of the last 5 years, and they've been Big Ten champions, playing in the playoff last year, and they were off to a good start. And they played a good football team last week, and Wisconsin played well, but they're a good team, and just like us, the goals are in front of them. I know they're going to have a good week. We had a great crowd last week. It looks like we're set up to have another good crowd, and hopefully have an opportunity to have a great challenge and buckle up into Big Ten East football. So, big week, and looking forward to. Disappointed with the outing, not disappointed in our kids. Correctable mistakes, and great challenges in front. Great opportunities. Questions?
Necessarily on Rich. What's his response been the last couple of days, and has it been to your liking?
Real good. I think the only thing, like we've talked about prior, was how even keel and calm he was, and I think maybe that's why, because you can't hide. Sometimes the guard goes the wrong way and nobody knows it. And his guy gives up the sack because unless you're the guard's mom watching him and knowing assignments, a lot of guys can hide. A 3 technique can go the wrong way and hide, but when you're playing out on an island, whether you're a receiver or a running back or a DB and you're in the open field and you can't hide, it's like the golfing world. It's you, the opponent, the ball, and God. Ain't no hiding here. And that's the first time I've seen the first. Matter of fact, they actually gave me a warning that he had gotten frustrated and said something to the other team. And I was like, really? I go, what'd he say? And I said, hey, man, chill out. Well, we were still struggling there in the fourth quarter, and he got frustrated, and his frustrations got the best of him. So other than that, he's been himself. And he was back in yesterday watching tape. We had some good meetings with him, and there's a lot of good things. There's one force, and to me, it's a collective team effort, and coaches are part of that team, and we just all got to do better. But like the way he's doing, the guys behind him are doing good. But yeah, I didn't think he mismanaged anything where there was like he wasn't doing well. Now he had picks, but where he had one really forced, like, wow, what did you see? Why? The other things I could account to me or some players that didn't help him out. And the quarterback looks good when the surrounding cast does their job, and he gets all the credit. And when the surrounding cast don't do their job, then he's the bum. And he's a product of the group, and our group let him down, and he'll do well. He should. Is that it?
Kevin, I guess Mitchell.
Shucks, I was trying to.
But right after the game, I guess Mitchell and Rich kind of got together and watched a little bit some of the film. Just what does that show for maybe the maturity of the team? The fact that before you guys even get to them, they're already trying to figure out how to fix it.
I didn't know that one. So that's it is. When you talk about your team, TJ's been fighting through a little bum knee and hadn't been full going enough to want to play yet. He's got a redshirt year. We'll decide if it's used, if he gets back. But he was on the scout team. He came up last week and said, Coach, let me tell you something about something I saw that I think could help you. And when you have players that are doing that are upper players, that's when you think you've got some buy-in and some investment. So I didn't know they had watched it. In this day and age, our athletes are all able, and something we pushed years ago to all have iPads. And with that, there's an app that they get access to a cloud where them and them alone can watch our videos. So that's I'm sure every kid has seen the good and the bad. I know when I played years ago, whether it be a practice or a game, you're sitting there saying, I can't wait to see this play because that's a great one. And then I sure hope he goes through that one pretty fast because I really messed that one up. So as players, you always knew that coming. Our guys get a chance to watch it. So that's good because we did talk after the game about not being negative, but personally they need to own their performance. and personally address it and come back with better body language and better mindset, and let's correct what's correctable and control what we can control, and let's get better at what we can get better at. So that's good news. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
I don't know if there's much of an update from Saturday, but health-wise with Dimitrick and Dan, I guess, number one, kind of how are they progressing, and number two, how do you feel like the guys that have had to step up behind them?
Well, one, you know, and again, sometimes I guess I talk fast enough, maybe it doesn't come out right all the time, but I didn't think their injuries, outside of being seniors, the performance regressed significantly. Even though Dan's a better player and the best lineman we have, you know, that position at guard, half the time you and the center are working together, half the time you and the tackle are working together, so there's not a lot of time. I know because I played guard. If you can't play guard, you're off the team, okay? Because when you go through the positions of what, I mean, it's the last stop, man, is guard. I mean, because tackles are one-on-ones. I mean, you know, if you can't play, like I tell the quarterback all the time, you don't play right guard. And not, I mean, Dan is one of the all-time great right guards. I had one at Oklahoma. Davin Joseph's off the chart. Was an all-pro, was one of the greatest players I ever coached playing right guard. There's not a lot of stress at that position. You got a fifth-year guy like Jacob Bailey coming in. Simon Stepniak played some as well. That position sometimes, now they will get tests with Malik McDowell, who's a big-time three-technique inside guy. But sometimes that position is not on an island a lot. Brandon Knight is healthy, and his play at right tackle was no different than probably what Dimitrick would have done. Dimitrick's a senior and a veteran, but Brandon's got a lot of talent. So outside of the fact you lose seniors and you lose the leadership of their presence, I don't think the performance really regressed or had any issue on the football game. Our ability to run or not run. I mean, Wake Forest came in, they were top 13 in the country in run, pass, total, and scoring. You know what I mean? And we didn't run a lot, but we ran for 115. I think they were giving up 50 or 60 something coming in the game because it's a loaded box. And they weren't giving up a lot of big pass plays. We attacked them down the fields where we thought we needed to go. So, you know, the line play had nothing to do it. I'd like to get those guys back. I saw Dan doing a lot more yesterday. Today was a light teaching day in our program, what we're doing. But I think as he goes through exercise-induced activities, it's just a matter, I think, of does he have headache issues? And when that's clear, I think our doctors will give him the clear. So they're just pushing him through work. And after work, if he's feeling good consistently, he's going to get to go. If he's got any recurring, like where, it's not stepping backwards, it's just going through the process. And I think it's called exercise-induced activity to get the response of where he is. Demetrius going through it back, and those things are ginger, and we just need to see where he gets to.
Cleared and got his feet wet a little bit. How soon do you think maybe his role could be expanded?
Yeah, well, again, he's been practicing a couple weeks, and, again, he just needs to, again, that's a talented guy, but he's got to get on the field and prove himself here, and he has in other places, and he's coming off the injury, and sometimes when you've been sitting that long, there's a little rust that sets in, and it's knocking the rust off, and it's getting, back to speed. It was good that he was cleared and got some plays. I think he probably played a handful, 5, 6, 7 in some of our bigger packages. He's playing outside receiver now, and he was looking good at practice today. We'll just kind of keep working it and see how it goes. Last week we were worried about who's going to step up at receiver, and we had 200-yard receiver, 100-yard receiver. I mean, he'll be in the mix to play there, though. And we need Donovan Hale and a lot of those guys to keep coming.
When you went back and reviewed that 4th and 1 with an AT, would you do it differently? I'm sure you had confidence putting him in that situation, but it also seems like a lot for a freshman for this first snap.
Yeah, again, for where it was and not being greedy on it, because, one of my issues with field goal is not the kicker, because we've had two that, it's just the timing protection. We're not been as clean as we need to be. And, when you see that in practice and stuff. So to me, where we were with it, it's just, that we ran it later and scored and just didn't work that time. So, we took what we thought was right. We got a leg that can definitely kick the field goal, but the way our protection had been, it was kind of in the fringe area where, should we or shouldn't we? Maybe hindsight early in the game like that, instead of taking that 20-second deal, probably maybe next time let the clock run down, take a timeout, and let's talk about, hey, are we good to kick it? And we're going to play a lot of games. So if I got to regret is maybe, making a quick decision, where sometimes the way we go with we had talked at the 8-minute mark with left in the game, we're down 12 points. Hey, if we get a quick 3 and out, we're going to kick it and use timeouts. Well, we kicked it and didn't even need to use timeouts because we had a couple out-of-bounds plays that helped us. And then the next time we used our timeouts, we were trying to maximize our possessions. And so that being said, I don't know if saving timeouts is, especially in the first half, is big for us. So if I have a regret, it's maybe taking a timeout and getting the defensive side of things. Hey, do y'all want it here? Talking with the kicker, talking protection, talking play. Where, hey, we made a 10-second decision. Let's go for it. And, of course, we'd already decided plays we wanted, so the play call wasn't hard. It was the decision of what to do. And if I had a regret, maybe sometimes in that situation, probably maybe should have took a deep breath and got more thoughts. But I made the call to live with it, and it didn't work.
I think you always talk about kind of being an offensive guy and not necessarily leaving the defense to its own devices, but empowering those coaches. But how do you, I guess, diagnose what you've seen on that side of the ball through 3 weeks?
One good. Can be better, though. Sometimes it's the defense. Sometimes, offenses, it's still their lack of execution making them beat us. So, we got so many things that we need to clean up because we'll be stressed and tested much harder this week and in weeks to come, just with schematics and playmakers and skill set, line of scrimmage play, et cetera. We work together a lot in practice. There's some crossover. Hey, we're going to go together in a blitz period. What do you want to see? We're going to get together in a running period. What can we do to help each other? Because there's a lot of times, no matter what the opponent, we're going to run a lot of plays very, very similar to the opponent. We're also going to run some plays very, very different. So we don't need to muddy your vision. So we go together quite a bit, so you see them. But really, it's gotten me where I'm spending a little bit more time trying to be involved with the kick side and with the offensive side. And Coach Allen's running that ship, and I'll give him my 2 cents from an offensive view. Here's what I think. Here's what I see as an offensive guy. I think they're seeing. Because sometimes I think, as a coach, you sit there and say, well, this is what they did last week. But sometimes you got to look at you and where you're going to get attacked. And so as an offensive guy, I'm trying to think like, hey, I'm watching their offense, and if I was them, I think I would do some things. So that's my input to the defensive coaches as an offensive mind. During the game, I'll click over and say, hey, man, I think they're 4-down territory. Just FYI, because I think that changes 2nd down and 3rd down calls. And so, but Coach Allen, I think, is doing awesome. Great presence, great standard setting. And I still think, though, he will tell you he and his players aren't close. And to give up a couple of the big plays we did, the penalties on the one drive, the self-inflicted wounds, the no turnovers. I think he's, I'm sure it's digging him deep, and I know he'll work hard to try to address it without pointing fingers. Just get his guys to keep playing better, and we're going to need them to.
Turnover or timeouts left in the first half. 58 seconds on your own 25. Is that kind of a feel thing? Richard had already had 3 interceptions.
Very much.
Kind of want to flush it.
Even though we can score, we go through. I think I had it at one point. I don't know if I got it here, but we went in a string after we scored the first touchdown we had the interception in the end zone where they then ran out to the 40. We had a punt where nothing happened. Every time they punted, nothing happened. Matter of fact, there's 15 drives and only 8 of them ended in a kick. We had 5 turnovers and we had 2 times on 4th down that we went for it. And so, punting the ball is better than giving it to them or kicking a field goal, getting points, or of course scoring the touchdown is the ultimate deal. And you finish with the PAT. So, we had 8 times where we kicked the ball. We had 3 punts in the game. But there was a string after that first touchdown in the first half where it was a turnover. It was a punt. It was the 4th and 1 on downs. It was the turnover. It was another turnover, and now it's like 50 seconds. It's like, hey, and they had just had, pulled a drive out, like, made a play. I was like, wow, okay, that kind of, it was 3rd and 3, and they pop a 27-yard run to midfield. And then the quarterback scrambled out on another one. Now, next thing you know, they're on the 26-yard line. They make a shot on us, make a really good play. And, at that point in time, even though we can score in 50 seconds, we had a couple big plays later. I just felt we needed to go in and cool down. And if we'd have popped the first run and got out of the gate, things were going to change. But where it was right then, and they had 2 timeouts. And the way it was going, if we had thrown it 3 times in a row or they take 2 timeouts, here comes the punt team again. Here's maybe a punt return or a punt block. So I just felt at that time, just risk management. Let's go in. Let's come back out and play one play at a time and one possession time, try to get back in it. That was my thought at the time.
your guys and make certain you get into the end zone before you give up the ball and you hand the ball to the referee? Did you
We didn't, of course, we always, every one of our practices here, that we have our managers, you see them in referee shirts. And that's because every play, you give the ball to the referee, and that helps us play fast. And so we like if you throw a pass in a practice that's on the ground, we're supposed to pick up the ball and give it to our manager. That's your ball, even if it's on the ground. So we're used to doing that, but the only thing I'd say, Pete, is we did show those plays. We showed the kickoff return where the guy caught it and threw it to the referee. So and we try as much as we can to educate. There was a play in a great game with two ranked teams 2 weeks ago where there's a defensive scoop and score, and one team's really rolling, and 30 yards behind the play there's a cheap shot. And with the cheap shot, now they're kicking off from the 20, and the guy kicks it out of bounds. Now the ball's on the 50. 2 plays later, the team behind scored, and the team come rolling back, and they're one of the best teams in the country. And I think the score was 24-3, but it went from 24-10. There was a punt return, 24-17, and we showed our team that at Florida International we had a sideline penalty on the one pick six. We kicked off from the 50, and that's one of their scores. And so we try to educate the guys, and I watch a lot of football, and I don't really pull for guys. But you're looking at situations, you're looking at plays, and there's just a lot of learning situations. And I think because kids this day and age are so video acclimated, I don't know how much football common sense, athletic common sense guys have. And so we try as much as we can to educate our guys on how to be a little bit more aware and learn from others' mistakes.
You talked about Richard tried to throw it through a guy one time. That was like a John Madden player, right?
Yeah, I used to say, like,
video game, it might work.
the Superman X-ray vision. You see, you can't throw a ball. It's against one of my laws of physics. Laws of physics as a football cannot travel through a person. But quarterbacks, that's why I want to stick it through there. Like, it don't work. So we got to do a better job, though, with the hands. We got to do a better job with our receivers there. We got to be a lot tougher. We got to be a lot more physical. We got to find some run game. We got to take care of the ball. We got to do things it takes to win, because now we're playing. That team last week, we came in and played good team ball. We had some good stats. They played as a team. They played in all phases as a team, and they won the stats that teams need to win games, and that's why they got a W. We'll need that this week against a very, very talented, very prideful program that, to me, is one of the programs of not only our conference but college football. So a strong, strong test. Anything else?
How difficult was it to learn about Allison right before the game while you're preparing for a game?
We shared it with the team. My wife was actually driving me since the late game. Was driving me to the hotel that morning where the team was, and she got a call from one of the coach's wives. So just very, very sad there. Tough deal. She grew up. Our first recruit for Coach Walker was a young man in Oxford who dated Terry's daughter. So not only was Terry on the staff, but dated her. Matter of fact, I had a couple of those players on that team shot me a text when they got news. So just pray for their family, and it's tragic. Children. Matter of fact, I think a couple of our coaches are tied in where their kids are tied in with her kids, and personally knew her. So it's a tough deal. But we send prayers and love to them.